You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, Moonville University, Pure Chiro Notes, Dr. Alok Trivedi, The Black Diamond Club, Element Mattresses, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Vita Chiropractic, the Universal Traction System, MedZone, Vantage Point Marketing, and Imaging Services. Let's hustle. All right, so Jim Chester, your host of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today is a sponsorship edition. I have Todd Pickman with Moonville University, and we are inside of his practice today. And he's going to take us on a sweet mobile tour, but we're going to talk to a couple of his staff members too, and one of them being Andrew, who is an exercise therapist. And we're going to talk to him about what he knew about chiropractic before this thing all went down and where he's at today with chiropractic. Cool. Welcome to the show.
So, I don't know if you saw that in front desk logo, and then it's like super special effects. I'm holding my laptop right now. It's pretty awesome.
So you're going to take us on a little tour around this clinic, right?
Let's do it. Hopefully we don't lose our internet connection. If we do, everyone watching back on. Okay. So here's our front. We have two consults. They're always busy. Whether we're going through meeting with the recommendations before they're doing that for, we have a line that we private labeled called Gons Boom, which I can't show you, but then over here on iPads using Chiro Touch, it's our whole traction area. Awesome. So we have 11. It's like the front part of our clinic, front office. Got a big old mural of Dr. Gonstead with a huge on the wall. And then, so we have all, as always, hopping. This is our office. All the lights are off because we're celebrating a birthday party. And then the setup we have windows. So that's a one-way window, and another one over on this side. Side of those is the adjusting room. We can see out, people can't see in, so that when we're in here as the doctor and we're taking care of patients, we can look through the interaction, jump out if we need to, send a message to the staff, hey, let's change that setup a little bit. So it's all, which is a really cool layout, just how we put the clinic together. Perfect little plug or something to mention against the recent and granted, I know they would say this is not part of the Choosing Wisely guidelines because they would say, well, there's a red flag, but the whole ACA Choosing Wisely BS guidelines, completely not taking X-ray or waiting for people to X-ray. I completely disagree with that on so many levels. Here's a nice example of a patient we just saw. This is a standard and good old item. You get fusions galore. And now, granted, this is a crazy case because this is below this thesis of L4. I think it's tough to say, but this is a really just say of a late 30-year-old female, not necessarily the whole demographic that you'd think would have going on like that. And then just a couple of days ago, I know this is a little off topic, but just a couple of days ago, one of our staff, which I'm going to do a video on this, both of his parents, they've been seeing I've never had x-rays, and mom and dad had the two craziest spines I've ever seen in my life, and there were so many indications to doing certain things in their spine based on that it made me cringe. There's this American chiropractic association not to take x-ray, and his mom didn't have any of the criteria on the red flags. So it's just, side note, get off my soapbox, but I feel strongly about the need that we should maintain that right as chiropractors, get up and agree with the horrible for our profession and patient care. All right, back to the tour.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that imaging's 100% necessary for knowing who we're dealing with and what's going on inside that person. Everything is goes back to the spine with chiropractic, and the nervous system flows through there. So it would make sense to have the best images possible to know what exactly you're doing. So whenever it comes to this whole thing with ACA, I think it's just a bunch of baloney too.
Oh, dude, and you know what's funny? If like told my staff about, and they're like, what? There's chiropractors who don't take X-rays.
No kidding, right? I'm like,
All that they know is, So anyway, that's our stance on X-ray. I'm not really bashful in that, but anyway. So let's finish the tour, and then we can. This is Andrew again. I know you introduced him.
yep.
But he is one of our main exercise therapists to help us create a lot of content inside of Moonville University. The stuff that we continue to teach other chiropractors, not just put functional movement into their practice, but all the little about like, well, okay, how do you figure out aspect, and how do you time it with your that you're doing? How do you educate a patient when they have objections of like, hey, I don't want to hang 5 minutes, 45 minutes for us is a very short visit. Here per visit is what? Hour and a half a visit. So about 70, 80 minutes, sometimes 90. And afternoon from 1 to 7 p.m. I think we saw like 47 patients. Those aren't a 5-minute visit. So that's on average, they're here 70 to 80, sometimes 90. They're getting extremely just coordinated, high, and we're able to manage that because we have a lot of staff too, right?
Sure. And just a little bit of a question is, would you consider what you guys do as like a personal trainer for the spine?
That's a good question. I don't think it's for the spine. I mean, it's for like the whole body, but I mean, all movement and everything comes from the spine, and not just from like a philosophical standpoint in being strong in chiropractic philosophy, but like physiologically, anatomically, everything starts from the spine first. So in functional movement, that's even how they teach it and how we do it, is that you have to clear the spine before you look at anything else. But as far as no, I don't feel like we really do personal training per se, because I mean, how would you explain? I know how I would explain. How would you explain the difference of what we're doing from personal training, being that Andrew's been a personal trainer for several years?
That's why I thought it was a good question.
I think it is too.
Yeah, so personal trainer, you're one-on-one, you're taking someone through exercises, but you're never, well, I wouldn't say never, but most of the time, personal trainers aren't looking for movement pattern issues. Obviously, they're not looking at anything with the spine as well. So what we do compared to personal training is it's more of, we listen to the doctor's recommendations. He puts everything together, and then we're implementing the corrective exercise stuff. And it's not a whole lot of one-on-one a lot of the time, because we have 5 or 6 patients back there at one time. But a lot of the stuff we can teach somebody, and then they can finish their set of that. We have tons of mirrors back there, and so even if our back's turned to somebody, we can see them in the mirrors. And so we can kind of jump back and forth and help people, guide them through their different exercises that they're doing. Because what we do is everybody's care plan is completely custom. Nobody's doing the same things. And so it's kind of hard to have that one-on-one time when everybody's doing something different. So I don't know if those.
Yeah. So and something to just clarify on that too, it's that from a personal training standpoint, I think what Andrew's talking about, where you literally go in with someone and for 45 minutes to an hour straight, you're limbed through the entire process. For this, it's people started, okay, cool, I'm going to have you do this, great, and cueing and coordinating. And it's not just strength and powering. And on the same note, that's really not where we start with anyone. You can't stack power and strength on dysfunctional movement patterns. And that's where a lot of personal training goes wrong, is they take people who've never worked out a day in their life. Like, let's look at a lot of CrossFit gyms. CrossFit does great stuff. I'm going to step in this room because our background audio. See, look at this. Like, this is a commercial playing in our clinic. So, but basically this is playing on the back. We have music, and then we have these commercials that pop in that talk about functional movement or, you know, specific chiropractic or so on, like constantly educating in the background. But what I was going to say is something like CrossFit did such a great job building a culture, bringing people together, but where there was a shortcoming is take a weekend course, become a CrossFit trainer, open up a CrossFit box, which I still have a problem with that word. I think they should call it a gym, but open up a CrossFit box and then take people who've never worked out a day in their life, let them do like overhead deep squats day one, they get injured, whatever. And then others are really meticulous. They understand how to go through and clear people for movement between. So that's part of it. And we also partner up with and person to teach them how to do in their clients so they don't lead them into injury. And to come back and circle around to your question of, is this like a personal trainer for the spine? It's that our goal is to get someone functional. There's 7 basic human movement patterns that everyone should be able to do. And until they can have a certain level of competency in those movements, they have not earned the right to stack load on top of that as far as weight. Okay. And so like there's a lot of people working out in the gym that have not earned the right to work out in the gym, and they shouldn't. And even though they might build a aesthetically pleasing physique, they might get a 6-pack, they might get biceps, whatever. They're completely dysfunctional. They'll hurt themselves when they move a certain way. Their spine is a disaster. Their joints are a mess. And even though they might look healthy on the outside, they actually have a lower quality of health. And
yeah, you even mentioned it to me, Dr. Todd. You even said, don't train yourself into dysfunction.
Yep. And that's like looking at this whole joint isolation model of just like bodybuilding style exercises. There's a time and a place to do isolation, but you want to make sure you're clearing big patterns first. Like you should be able to touch your toes before you deadlift. Someone can't touch their toes and they never worked on it, and they're so tight and all the muscles in the back of their body, and they don't have proper mobility or flexibility in their spine, they don't have any stability in their core, and then they're just doing deadlifts right out the bat. They're going to hurt themselves, and then they say, oh, I did deadlifts, and I went to my primary care doctor, and they said, you should never do deadlifts because that's bad for you, that hurts you, deadlifts are horrible. And it's like, no, you didn't go through the correct sequence of learning how to do this super important movement pattern that everyone should be able to do. We teach deadlifts to our like 80 and 90-year-old patients here. So seriously, we do. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, a short question, but I mean, that's kind of Dr. Todd's MO, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You guys are doing a lot of good work. Let's talk about Moonville University and the role that Andrew plays in that.
Cool. What's your role in Moonville University?
I think a better question is, what's not my role in Moonville University?
Good question. So like just right now, you and Tony. So for those of you who are members of Moonville University or have seen some of our work or videos or training, there's a bald guy in it. His name is Trainer Tony. He actually goes by Trainer Tony. And that's actually what he insists everyone calls him because he's just funny. So Trainer Tony is Trainer Tony. Andrew is Anabolic Andrew. I'm just Dr. Todd. I don't have a cool name. But Trainer Tony and Anabolic Andrew were just here working on putting together. Why don't you explain what our recent project that we're doing?
So our most recent project together, a guided video series at home. So they go through, they click one button, and then there's a video that walks them through a certain warm-ups, exercise, and their home care traction. And so Tony and I today were mapping out those modules a little bit further because we only got through a few of them the other day. So we're doing that for our whole functional movement program.
And it's really sweet because this is solving a problem for, like, someone like you who worked in a corrective care clinic totally gets this, is any way you can motivate a patient to do their home care, their home traction, and actually get them to do it is huge. Mm-hmm. Because you probably have like a 25% compliance rate on. And so that's a big part of what we're teaching other doctors how to do if you can get them to do their stuff, they get better results. They think about you more often. They talk about it more often. You get more referrals. They're happier. You're completing your purpose as a doctor and leader is to inspire them and actually like help hold them accountable. And so all of that stuff, that's the most recent thing that we set up is we put together basically like an upper body and lower body warm-up routine. And it's not really a warm-up routine. It's taking protocols that patient's learning based on where they're at in care. We basically loop together like a 15-minute program of here's how you do this. Follow us along real time. Okay, so literally push play and then follow us. And it's kind of like a home exercise video of us going, okay, cool. Now you're going to stretch to here, count to 5. Great. Okay, go to the left. And it's all real time. And then it transitions into their home traction. So then what happens is then it's at this point, you're warmed up, you're ready to do your cervical spine home traction. So go ahead and lay down, do X, Y, and Z. And then every minute, just like a guided meditation, we give them cues. They're listening to peaceful music on the screen. There's a timer that counts up. There's like background of like going through the forest. And I mean, just super, meditation with home care traction and spine rehab. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Coming from that background that I come from, I love to know that you guys are doing something to keep people accountable, to keep people on pace, to let people check in and be effective with them. I think one of the hardest things to do is to be effective with people that you're not seeing at your office. And getting a program set up for people that they can actually take action on and feel like they're actually, staying a part of the Chiro tribe and being a part of the chiropractic family still. That's the disconnect between the home space and the clinic space. So I think it's really cool you guys have created something that people can use and be actionable with and still feel like they're a part of the clinic environment.
Yeah, and that's a big goal and thing that we've accomplished with Moonville University is we take chiropractors who know nothing about functional movement. We can help implement it. We take chiropractors who know a ton about functional movement and we help them bottle and do it in a way that's more feasible for their clinic, and then also a way to engage the patients, educate the patients, motivate them, keep them on track, make it fun. And we also even teach stuff like, okay, well, here's how you bill it, here's how you document it. Like everything that no one teaches is the stuff that we built in Moonville University, right? Is like all the stuff, like all the these like clinical seminars for movement, and there's not a lot of them, and they do an awesome job clinically. They really do. The piece that was missing, and it's no disrespect to them because it's just a piece that hadn't been built yet. There was a need for it, and that's why we built it, is great. Now these protocols. Hey, I'm a chiropractor. How do I get started with this? Like, hey, I'm a chiropractor. I know movement's really important, but I'm not addressing it at all with my patients, and I only have a 10-foot by 10-foot room. Am I able to do it? How do I do it? And then how do I make it profitable? Or even better yet, hey, I'm a chiropractor and I'm doing corrective care, whether it's like low-level generic corrective care, which not to speak bad about that, it's better than nothing, or super high-level like CBP, like super detailed, meticulous, everything is dialed in down to the millimeter, right? And then you're saying, hey, I'm getting really great results with my patients, but I feel like something's still missing. I know I'm not addressing mobility, flexibility, movement, that sort of thing. How do I do that, right? And that was the third piece of the puzzle, at least for us. Starting off as Gonstead, using corrective care, chiropractic biophysics, and then going, okay, there's still something that's not there that we want to put in, and that's when we got into functional movement.
Yeah, I've been to many clinics, and I've seen some that have the done it all. I've seen some that do different types of traction units. I've seen Jason Yeager's clinic, who created the universal traction system, which I think it looks like you might have a couple there. I'm not sure.
It's a slightly different version. Something we did is we have inline slastics.
Okay.
So every load is with resistance. So we crank it, and we have a resistance load about 200 pounds per line that constantly creates a consistent pull. So we don't have to increase the tension on someone because it basically does it on their own. And then this is something that we also came up with, designed. I mean, this is a pretty cool thing. This is another arm that swivels off of this. And this is for like combination supine traction to be able to do like a thoracic or lumbar with cervical. So, I mean, we like to innovate and figure, like, here's something else we did in our X-ray room. Okay. We actually custom built a traction unit that actually fits into our X-ray frame. And so we have 11 foot. So watch, you want to hold this real quick? So I'll just show you. So this right here just has a wheel on it. And this wheel's over here. And it fits right into, you see how this is cut out over here?
Yeah.
And then this lowers. This little arm lowers. We lock it in place. Someone can be in traction like this, and we can shoot X-ray while they're in traction.
That's amazing.
So some fun stuff like this right here for our X-ray. Instead of having a window, like a leaded window, we set up a camera system. So we have a camera bird's eye view up in the ceiling, so we can look at someone, make sure that their positioning for X-ray is perfect. So there's a camera up there. There's a camera right there. And so, I mean, just like things, and I guess why that's relevant in what we're talking about is that same level of care and precision is what we do with everything. So that's what we took to this functional movement thing. As we said, okay, so how do we beef it up and make it fit the standards that we're used to doing, which is like not shortcutting anything. Okay.
Sure. It goes back to that saying is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah. So watch, I'll show you a tour of our exercise area, because when I was showing this earlier, it was the first time you saw it. But this is actually a second waiting room that we have. This is for our existing patients who are actually doing corrective care. This is after the first couple of visits. They come back here, and then they're basically directed where to go so that their wait time is very limited. We have a kids room that is a freaking disaster right now. Okay, and we have an overflow adjusting room. We have a massage room, and then check this out. Most chiropractic clinics don't have this, but this is kind of cool. Ready?
You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, Moonville University, Pure Chiro Notes, Dr. Alok Trivedi, The Black Diamond Club, Element Mattresses, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Vita Chiropractic, the Universal Traction System, MedZone, Vantage Point Marketing, and Imaging Services. Let's hustle.
I mean, see this, all the lights and whatnot for Moonville University.
Oh, you came back.
And
You froze there for a second.
It broke up?
Yeah, when you went in the room, it
Gotcha.
froze.
And then back here, this is our exercise area that we're doing a gluten-free, dairy-free, right? Gluten-free, dairy-free?
Some of it.
Most of
We
it.
have options.
So it was gluten-free and dairy-free, all the stuff that my wife made for this, but this is for April's birthday. Where is April? Oh, okay. Oh, it's her birthday. You can still see me, right?
Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah. Cool. So this is our exercise area. This is where we do all magic. And so another thing for our viewers to understand, I'll show you one more thing. And this is how you fix spines right here.
Kettlebells.
That's right. Okay. That is a crucial ingredient in fixing the spine, is teaching people how to go through basic with kettlebells.
So is that something you guys teach in the Moonville University program?
Yes, actually, the third guy in the world for this group called Strong First, St. Horton. Background noise, let me know as I'm like walking around the clinic, music playing and stuff. Is it good?
No, you're freezing up just slightly.
I'll get closer to our Wi-Fi. I'm as close to our.
It's getting better.
We're back?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah. What was I saying?
Czar.
Oh yeah, so Czar. So our friend Czar Horton is the like one of the highest level guys in this group called Strong First, which teaches Russian kettlebells. And he's got a big gym out in New Mexico called Firebells, which he teaches all the firefighters kettlebell stuff. And so Czar was the guy telling me about kettlebells back when I was hardcore into bodybuilding, and I didn't want to hear anything of it because I'm like, that's gonna I don't want to do cardio. I'm gonna lose my gains, right? And right, and so anyway, and then it's come full circle, and I've realized how important learning kettlebells are for functional movement. And so Czar actually flew out here, did some training with us directly, helped us film some different patient educational things that we have. So we actually have patient education kettlebell stuff that Czar filmed for us. So yes, it's absolutely something that we do implement into our stuff is Russian kettlebells.
That's cool. Yeah, I would like to learn more about that.
Cool. We'll come out here and we'll teach a seminar. Russian kettlebell, Chiro hustle, chiropractic extravaganza. How's that?
I'd love to do it. Actually, I've never been to Idaho before.
Really? Well, July 19th through 21st, we're about to launch it, but we're going to do a seminar out here. It's going to be max of 15 people. So it's going to be 15 people that are either members of Moonville University or people who just joined Moonville University. It's going to be a prerequisite to be a member, whether a past member or join before you come to this seminar. It's going to be pretty awesome what we're doing. Like all the stuff I'm throwing out there, which I know is a lot. There are 2 in-office programs we use for patient retention, education, all of that. We're actually going to clone that and produce that for every person who attends. Okay, so like part of that event is going to be filming spots that need to be plugged into that to customize it for those doctors so that they go home with something that's ready to plug in on Monday.
Uh-huh.
And then a second thing is there's two things that we've done in the community that we've launched that are starting to gain a lot of ground. One is called Move Well in the Workplace, and one is called Moonville University for Fitness Professionals. And both of those are things that we're restructuring to really get groups of chiropractors to be listed on a main website that, and then the whole step-by-step process that we're dialing in on how to go approach businesses to get into their corporate wellness stuff and put an automated system in place to then have a direct gateway for those employees to your clinic, but not just going in and doing a health talk on some basic topic, but actually giving them really good resources, which is actually teaching them how to not injure themselves when they're sitting, standing, or lifting at work. And so what we did is built a whole platform for this. We built a self-screening for it. When I say we, this was me and Andrew. Me and Andrew built out this whole thing, and it's awesome. And we've already last week I met with a lady that works at a place that has 800 employees. Okay, so 800, and she's extremely interested. So I should have a meeting hopefully set up next week to go out in front of them again and get a step further. And if we can implement it in there, our first talk we do for them is going to be in front of 150 to 200 people. And then everything else is going to be broadcasted to the rest of their employees. And then all of them are going to get access to this digital product. And so that same formula, we're going to make that available for everyone inside of Moonville University.
And then you'll have to hire 5 more people.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I got some big plans here.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love to hear how inspired you are to create systems and strategies that can help not just you in your practice, but you can help a multitude of clinics. And most of the times, Dr. Todd, what I've noticed is people all want good information. They just don't know the source, who to trust. They don't know where to go to for the right information. Like you said, I could go to the gym and get a personal trainer, and they'll put me through a bunch of load-bearing exercises that might not be best for my body. But I think that they're a trusted, resource because they're also obviously a personal trainer that's, taking me under their wing to teach me. But a lot of times even the people teaching don't have the best strategies is what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I think that speaks to one big truth is that if someone's looking for quality information and actually learning skill sets. That's something that we're trying to bring to the profession. I think that we've done that successfully. But another thing on the same note, just like in marketing, it's like trying to attract the people that are your market and try to repel the people that are not. I can tell you that probably 75% of the chiropractic profession I know is not our market. If you're someone who says, hey, you know what, I'm comfortable in practice, I like to just come in and leave, I know my limitations, I do this much for our patient, yeah, I'm not really worried about posture, yeah, I'm not really worried about helping anything else other than I want to do the adjustment only. Nothing bad about that. Be a master at the adjustment. Build a network of other specialists that you can work with so that the patient can at least have those things addressed. But don't lie to yourself or lie to others and think that the one thing you're doing, which I know is so super crucial, don't think that's going to fix all this stuff, because it's not. It's just, and I'll tell you, at first in practice, my first several years, hardcore principled, adjust only Gonstead chiropractor, believe me, like I had my hands over my ears and my hands over my eyes, just hoping, okay, that person comes in who has the destroyed low back, who's had that for 20 years. I'm going to set their fifth lumbar, send them out the door, and everything under the sun is going to be fixed. And it's just not true, because now that person bends over to pick something up, they're screwed. They go to the gym, have an unstable structure, they're screwed. They have no lumbar curve. They have a hypolordosis, and no one ever catches that. If you're not loading that curve and putting somewhat of a forward curve back in their spine, they have a damaged structure. It's never going to stabilize, even with the best segmental adjustment in the world, right? So again, I'm up on my soapbox, I'm sorry, but it's just saying, like, we know what we're trying not to attract, and we know who our target market is. And then we also know that there's a select group, because I was like this. I thought I knew how I wanted to practice forever, and I changed. You know what I'm saying? Because I promise you, man, 10 years ago, if I was watching what we're talking about right now 10 years ago, I'd be like, who is this guy? This isn't real chiropractic. He's talking about exercise. He's talking about track. This isn't chiropractic. Is detection and correction of vertebral subluxation only. And believe me, we teach that, we preach that, we practice it, and we do it to a high level. And I'd put our adjusting skills up against anyone else in the country. I think that we deliver very high quality chiropractic. We also have a different department that covers exercise, right? I'm not out there going through the exercise with someone one-on-one. They don't see me and think exercise. They see Andrew and think exercise. They see me and see chiropractor who's managing my care with all these departments that you put in the clinic, which this leads to a perfect question. And this is somewhat of a loaded question. But Andrew, when people come into the clinic and they've been to other chiropractors or other physical therapists, or they have a problem that no one's been able to fix, what is their impression when they see our approach?
Good question.
Yeah. People are honestly blown away. And I kind of expected that coming in here because everything's so different. But from my background, I've had a lot of physical therapy, exercise science and all that. And so I figured that like we weren't too far off from what physical therapists and everybody else was doing, but it's like completely different. Like I take someone through something that makes so much sense to me and to Dr. Todd and everybody else here, and patients are like, wow, that helps so much. I never knew about that. Nobody's ever told me to do that before. I'm like, why? Like, It just makes so much sense. So
well, and then it clicks with the patient too. Yeah. And then I think what it does is it still accomplishes our goal of them understanding the importance of the spine in chiropractic, because it comes around full circle. They don't leave here saying, they don't leave here thinking that the exercise is what fixed them, or even the traction is what fixed them. They know that it's a process of looking at segment, posture, and movement, and they know that all three of those things are coming together. And they also know that what we do with chiropractic and with the adjustment is so different here, because it is a specific type of chiropractic. It's not rack 'em and crack 'em, hit 'em high, hit 'em low, roll them twice and let them go. It's not one of those. Okay. Anyway, but yeah.
To me, it's enlightening to hear the different type of practice that you run. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that I was saying earlier, they're just looking for the answers. And it sounds like that you guys have a system that you could easily allow more people into so they could start doing a similar type of practice. And they don't have to be lost in this world of, halfways. Like most people get halfway to something and they never get all the way there.
Totally.
But what I see you doing is you've created an all the way system that now others can learn from something that you've gone through and done all of the XYZ, the ABCs. You've developed a linear system now that others can say, so this is what I need to do to get myself to the next level of practice. And like you said, it's not like we're saying that what you're doing is the functional stuff is chiropractic. No, that's making the body stronger to the point where the body's actually strong enough to hold the adjustment better. What you're doing is very specific chiropractic, and you're doing rehab work with people's segments to actually give them the correct curvature of their spine to where they can actually function at the highest level while getting the best level of chiropractic on the earth.
Yeah. So posture and fixing movement patterns and fixing segment. And the segment is the chiropractic part. The other stuff is rehab, but it's not like typical chiropractors who do rehab. They do passive rehab. They have ultrasound, they have e-stem, they lay someone on a roller table. And it's like, how hard is that? You bought a piece of equipment and you push a go. Okay. I mean, there's no thought process behind that. What we're doing is not the easy way out. Like I will not lie to you. This is a harder way to practice. It is more in depth. There are more systems that are needed, but it's more rewarding because I know that we are doing the best for our patients. I know that we are reaching a higher level of clinical results than anywhere else out there. I mean, it is, and again, it's not for everyone. And I'm not saying that to be demeaning, saying that if someone else doesn't, agree with us, then they don't want the best for their patient. But I'm saying that this is digging deeper. It really is.
Yeah, and another thing that I see what you do is what I've come to understand is there's science, philosophy, and art. And it sounds like you being the lead role there, you have a very good foundation of philosophy. You have a very good foundation of science because of the way you do what you do and why you do it, because of the outcomes that you're looking for. So it's very scientific in the gauge that you use. And then, the art of it is the adjustment and how you apply the impulse into the body to get the body to go back into alignment to where the body can heal naturally and doesn't need anything extra in it. All it needs is a little bit of better water, a little bit of better food resource, and a little bit of better consistency with care. I think that's one of the things you guys also do is you offer a system of consistency of care.
So, and like speaking on that, Jim, like, don't get me wrong. Like last week we had a patient who's been a patient of ours for a month. She came in, half her face was paralyzed. She came in, woke up, and it was her second time in her life she had this, but she had Bell's palsy. Okay. So she had facial nerve paralysis. Remember when she came in, right? So she comes in last week, Bell's palsy, freaked out because she had it during her pregnancy, had to take prednisone, a bunch of corticosteroids, all this other stuff, because that's the medical model for Bell's palsy. And it took her 2 months for it to go away. She came in here, specific chiropractic analysis. She had an ASLP atlas. So and I set her atlas, and she sent me a picture 30 minutes later. It was 90% better. By the next day, it was 100% better. And so that had nothing to do with any kind of rehab. That was a specific segmental adjustment. That's the power of chiropractic. So that's the stuff we do every single day. We see the huge gains with specific chiropractic. We see the stuff that stabilizes them and keeps them from going back into crisis with fixing posture and movement.
100%. And I think that when you take care of the whole body, the person has a better outcome. When you take care of the simple, I mean, I'm not going to say it's simple, but when you take care of the segmental dysfunction, the subluxation, and you don't teach the person how to become stronger and to have better posture movements and to have better functionality, I think that we're still making healthier people, no doubt about it. But when you start teaching people how to become stronger and how to hold their adjustments long term, that goes back to the Blair upper cervical technique, is holding is healing. And when somebody holds their adjustment, they're healing longer. And that's just it, is when you teach somebody how to hold the adjustment with proper functionality, now we're making a whole body improvement and not just a subluxation improvement.
Yep. And last thing too, because feedback I've gotten about talking about our clinic and our staff, they say that's really intimidating. Like other chiropractors, like there's no way we're going to do that. This is our testing ground. This is where we have made the protocols. This is where we refine it. This is not how it has to be duplicated. It can be done on a much smaller scale. It can be done a much smaller percent. And the cool part is that when you have the systems in place, you can do it without having to take on so much square footage, take on so many staff, because the systems help automate the process so you can still deliver or at least offer those things to your patients. So some of you out there who are looking at this going, man, I want to do 20% of what you're talking about. Cool, do it. It's better than zero. Do it. So
I know we're coming up on the edge of our time together. I've been running the website Moonville University on the bottom of our screen for the 50% of the segment with you today. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the people out there that are watching?
I would say throw up moonvillesecretsbook.com, because that's still a really great resource, right?
Okay.
So please, everyone, if you haven't gotten our book, get it. It's free. You just cover shipping. We send it to you. Check out the book. I've gotten some really cool feedback. It's the first time I've written a book, and it's really inspired me to write another book, because I've had chiropractors message me saying that it took 6 hours one day, read the whole book from start to finish, and it totally changed everything that they're planning on doing moving forward in practice, inspired them, or they say, man, this is what I was looking for. So I feel like that's really helped a lot of people, and that's cool, because that's just sharing what we learned and what we figured out over the last several years. So grab the book, moonvillesecretsbook.com. That's the last thing I would say. Thanks for having us on, Jim. Had a lot of fun. We got to talk again. I know we just kind of shoot from the hip on these, but I think that's what makes it fun, right?
Yeah, this is a great one. Thanks for sharing. And Andrew, great meeting you. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person one day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Cool.
All right, man.
Awesome.
We'll see you guys later.
All right. Have a good one. Talk to you soon.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.